Right, it's recording, and basically, the idea of this video is to talk about politics. Now, I'm not probably the biggest clued up man about politics, but I do follow it on many ways. Basically, I always vote. Now, I always believe that if you don't vote, you don't have a say in anything. And the recent election that we had this year in this country, as far as I'm concerned, was a joke. A joke, yes. Although, the party I voted for, which was Labour, I've always voted Labour, did get more seats than I expected. And that was great. But the weirdest thing about, basically, the vote, and particularly where I live, was the voting that I went in for did not win. Now, I live in Peterborough, right? All well and true, Peterborough did win a Labour seat, right? People say Peterborough did win a Labour seat, and therefore I should be happy because my candidate got in for Labour and that. But no. For some weird reason, where I live in Peterborough, and that's Alton, including Fletton, and including Stanground, for some strange reason, doesn't fall in the bracket of Peterborough. So the areas there don't actually fall into Peterborough's area. So when we vote, we're not voting for the candidates for Peterborough, like where you have like Stuart Jackson for Conservative or whoever it is for Labour and so and so. We don't have that. We vote instead for somebody who's for North West Cambridgeshire. Very strange in my opinion. I don't know why. It must be the way they've done their constituency thing, but it is. Basically, the one I voted for did not win, and instead Conservative got in again for North West Cambridgeshire. So it's a bit weird that it happens like that. I don't know why, but it's a bit weird. And it's a bit like when you go to Blackpool, because they have basically two constituencies. Now you'd think Blackpool would be like one whole town, and you'd think their constituency would be for one. But no, they have two. Blackpool North and Blackpool South. And weird as it may well seem, sometimes, and it's happened in the last few elections, that Blackpool North has won for Conservative, Blackpool South has won for Labour. A very strange thing. Although I would have to say, I guess in some ways, we're just going to talk a little bit, moving on from the politics a bit. I guess in some ways, the reason it might be Blackpool North and Blackpool South is because in Blackpool, I feel that it could almost be cut in half. You could cut it in half and it could literally be two seasides, and there's no reason to say why. Why would people think you've got two seasides in Blackpool? Well, first of all, if you look at the North bit, you've got all your tourist attractions in the North. Right, you've got like your North Pier, you could have your Central Pier there, you could have your Blackpool Tower, your shopping, and various other things, right? That could be classed as Blackpool North. But once you get to, say, half of, just past the Central Pier, you could cut it off. Well, almost that bit all the way down to the Pleasure Beach and so on is like Blackpool South. And that's like your second seaside. You could almost class that as a second seaside. It's amazing to think like that, where you've got the South Pier, Pleasure Beach, and you've got something like a shop still and that. So it could be almost like two seasides rolled into one. It could be. But it ain't. But it's like that. But, going back to the politics, basically, yeah. So, it's a bit strange for our local politics to be how it's done. But, in the main gist of it all, Labour did win a few more seats. One being Peterborough, yes. Got rid of Stuart Jackson, who'd been in for us for a long time. What I don't like, though, is people are still stupid. Because they've voted for Conservative again, and they've got into power. Now, I know what people are thinking. They're allowed to vote who they want to vote for. Fair enough. But but in my opinion, they're fools because they're voting for the wrong party. Now, we had two elections before this, And in the first election, Labour lost, Conservative got in. Understandable, David Cameron was running the country. Second election, people were moaning. They didn't like the way Conservative were doing things, and they didn't like the fact that changes were going to be happening. But what did the stupid people do? Still voted for Conservative. So we get to this election. David Cameron's obviously finished. Teresa May had taken over. And it was her job to say, I want to try and win. And guess what? People are still moaning again about why a Conservative in, because we'd like a change. But they still voted Conservative in. She didn't quite get enough seats, so she had to do a deal with a dupe party in Northern Ireland to make up the seats. But it is stupid that people still don't agree that Conservative are for the right party to run the country, and Labour to me are better. But you can't tell people that because they're still fools that they voted for Conservative. The thing is, I was doing a thing online answering questions about policies and all that malarkey, and basically it came out at the end that Labour would be the perfect party for me based on what I believe in all the parties. And I was right, and I knew that was going to be right when I first started it, so I didn't really need to do the survey or anything, but I knew exactly what I was expecting, and that is right. Conservative basically want to run this country to the ground, as far as I'm concerned, and some of the policies don't stick. Don't like them. I mean, one of the biggest policies that Conservative have is the NHS. They want to basically privatise it. Now, I understand that we in this country we pay taxes to go towards the NHS. I understand that. But it is still free. You pay your taxes for the NHS, but when you go to the hospital, it is free. So taxes have been paid for that, and therefore you go to hospital and you don't pay for anything. Not like in America, but you don't. The difference with Conservative is they want to privatise it. So it basically means that you're likely to still pay taxes, and taxes will go towards the NHS. But the difference will be when you go to the NHS, because you're sick, you won't get it free. It will then mean you have to pay. That's what they want to do. They want to do a payroll in there, and I don't think that's right. I think it's, how can I put it? Wrong. I don't like the idea of that. So basically, I still believe that it would have been better to vote Labour. They've got policies right, and I don't believe they're getting policies wrong. But there's not a lot we can do. The only way would be if they made another election quick, and therefore Teresa May stepped down as Conservative and they had to make a thing like that, and we vote again. Or it's very likely we wait 5 years as usual, and then after 5 years we vote again, and then we've got the choice to say, do we want Conservative to be in power again, or do we want to have, say, someone like Labour come back in? It's my view that I would have preferred Labour to jump back in and win again, but sadly it didn't happen. But there you go. But at the end of the day, as I said, there's not a lot we can do, and we have to deal with it and that. But yeah, so, and I'm not afraid to tell you who I support in the politics, because I know some people won't do that because it just causes problems if you're telling me they support, because not everybody agrees with you and all that malarkey. But there you go. Anyway, I'll leave it there, and bye for now. Woo.